Hello, everybody. My name's Milan Starcic. Welcome to Freedom Rising, a podcast dedicated to empowering individuals on the journey to personal growth, lasting serenity, and freedom from addiction. Tune in and join the movement. Your journey to freedom starts here. We neither represent, promote, or demote any 12-step program or organization. We are merely souls on the path of recovery with the desire to expand our lives and experiences and share them with you. Hello, everybody.
Yo!
Welcome to the 185th Recovery Freedom Rising podcast. I'm Milan Starcic with co-host Andrew Norman and JJ. We got the best of the Virginias here, everybody. That's right. Today's topic is more will be revealed. Would you share what this means to you, Andrew, and why you're happy to discuss this here today?
I would love to. Good to see you, JJ. I'm just grateful to be here, man. This is a beautiful thing that we get to do. Right, it's a beautiful thing. So more will be revealed is as I started pontificating on this subject. Whoever came up with the subject, thank you. Whoever did that.
I think it might have been by accident.
God did it.
It seems to be an attitude that's easy to adopt. For real, more will be revealed.
It's one of for me it's one of the most powerful truths in recovery, because it's a reminder for me that I don't know everything, that I don't need to know everything, and that this is a recovery of continuous revelation, right? We're gonna continuously turn things over and figure things out as we go along in this process. And every single day I stay clean, I get the opportunity to learn something about myself. Something new about myself, about my higher power, my connection with God, my higher power, who I choose to call God. And this fellowship, right? Every day I get, more will be revealed in terms of who I want to be, who I get to decide to be, who y'all are, what my relationship is with the fellowship, with my God, with myself. But at first it was just about getting my life back. I mean, it was simply that. I mean, it was getting my life back. I didn't understand anything really about discovering anything. I just had that initial hope shot that y'all gave me, that like maybe I could be one of the ones that stays clean and gets this thing. But I wanted answers now, man. Early on, I wanted answers right the hell now, man. I wanted them now, just like I wanted my drugs now, more now. It wasn't enough, I wanted the pain to stop. I wanted everything to halt right then. But what NA's taught me, and this is full circle on this thing, is like my only job is to show up, stay clean, and be willing to understand that more will be coming later, and that I don't have this thing figured out, JJ. And so I remember early on, like running into problems, and my first sponsor hitting me with that phrase, and I used to get really pissed off when he used to say that. Or I used to get heated because it was like one of those things where it almost reminded me of like when I was a kid, my mom would be like, yeah, I'm just do it because I said so. Right. Like it just pissed me off. It would piss me off. It was the same thing where it's like, hey, all right, well, like, okay, more will be revealed. But like, what are you talking about, man? Like it just used to really, really bother me. But it's changed for me. I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. And I'm continuously growing. JJ, you are a walking, breathing, like I need to learn more, be more like with 38 years clean. You are so humble. And you really, but we'll pass it around. That's where that kind of opens it up. I'm not done growing. When I hit those hard times, like I have to have faith. It teaches me faith, right? It kind of gives me that faith to know that like what y'all are saying is
I think you're having some internet issues
saying
a little
it's
bit.
true, and y'all are full of shit. And I love you guys, man. Am I?
Yeah.
I love you. It's glitching out a little bit, but let's just keep rolling. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and it's weird. It did a little bit.
Pass it to JJ. Pass it to
yeah,
JJ.
let's see if it's what is. Hey, JJ, you wanna say why you're happy to come discuss this topic of more will be revealed today?
Oh my, I'm JJ, and I'm an addict in recovery, and my freedom is that I didn't use today, and I didn't use yesterday, because if I had, I wouldn't be here today. And, there's such a freedom in understanding what the problem is and, or was, because the problems change. It used to be the chemicals, but being very clear in that if I do not use, I have an opportunity to utilize the gifts and faculties that God gave me to begin with, and that they just, in time, they'll start working for me instead of against me, because God gave me a beautiful brain, but it can work against me very, very easily. And, when I think about more will be revealed, part of that takes a desire, and that one of our traditions is that the only requirement, it's a requirement to have this experience, is the desire. It's like, the only way I could experience what I did in the chemicals that I did was I had a desire to do that. And I never once got high when I didn't intend to, not one time, right? I never got drunk one time that I didn't intend to. I had a desire. So I need to really want this. And ever since I crawled up, on some dry ground or was washed up, and I tasted a little bit of, well, I didn't know what my problem was. It was revealed in the very first meeting that I ever went to. What was revealed was, wow, I didn't know I was an alcohol addict. And it was in the predecessor fellowship I learned about the disease of addiction, because I didn't know. I thought I was just freaking crazy, and I thought it was unique. And I thought that, well, it's funny, I'm unique, yet I thought that the way we get from A to B is to drink and drug as much as you can. So when that was revealed, that no, I have a problem, and the problem was identified as the disease of addiction, put me into a process to where, I have to have a desire to reveal what's in there, you know. More will be revealed, not if I don't want to, not if I don't have a desire, you know. It won't be revealed. Or really, what then gets revealed is the jails, institutions, and death. And so what's so amazing is to take advantage of. And that was not, I got clean. My last clean date's not my only clean date. You know, if we come back one more time, then we go adventure out there, we have a shot at a life. It's amazing, because it's a life that is amazing, but it's what was intended all along. Whatever the expectations were and the fears that I would not succeed, or I'd get swallowed up, or all these aspects that the disease of addiction will use against me. Um, so what more is revealed by staying in the process. That's why I'm here now. It's like, okay, you've revealed enough to me. I'm good. I'm gonna stop at second grade or whatever. I mean, there's really no graduation out of here, until this life is done. Even coming to terms with that, I need help. I need spiritual principles. We have a chapter in the basic text called "More Will Be Revealed." And in the very beginning, it states that Narcotics Anonymous, and really this 12-step process. I'm so grateful to the predecessors. Right? I cannot separate them, even though there is a separation out of respect. But this 12-step process allows me to, what the book says, it gives me an opportunity, it provides an opportunity for us to ease the pain of living through spiritual principles. So seems like that's what gets revealed, is the process involving spiritual principles. So I love you guys. I'm glad to be here.
I love you too. You know, for some reason, JJ, your voice sounds so perfect and
Love you,
soothing
JJ.
today. Like your audio today is like the best it's ever been. And for a guy who records a lot of music, it's music to my ears. Man, I'm so happy to be here with you
God
guys
speaks through
today.
people.
And you know, more will be revealed is it's really like kind of, you know, faith and patience. And to me, I feel that, you know, patience is surrender in real time. And through having that patience for more to be revealed, we're actually building our spiritual strength of surrender through that patience, you know. And you know, I really think it's like in this society right now, like our ego is now and our spirit is forever. And this more will be revealed is kind of like that transitioning between our being totally ego driven to a spiritual driven life. You know, like I see it as this kind of morphing time. And the only way that that patience comes is through practicing that patience. Even if it's forced at first. You know, like even if we don't want to give out patience, we still have to wait for things to arrive, whether we like it or not. You know, like and that's and that in itself is kind of part of the ego shattering thing, you know, is that it's not coming on your time. Like it or lump it, you know, are you choosing to take the high road and be okay with it not coming on time? Or are you going to stay a pissy little bitch who wants their drugs out like right now? You know, because we're really, that's like, I feel this whole thing is kind of about us growing up in that way. You know, like
Boy,
I remember meeting this guy when I was 15 on this trip. Like it was like this school trip where a bunch of students went to Italy, and there was a guy who was just like he was like a 30 something year old man, you know, like in a 15-year-old body. He was mature, he had patience. And I was just like, whoa. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be like that. And like not saying that he was better than me and I was worse or whatever, but I just remember seeing the difference, and it really had to do with, you know, how he carried himself, his patience, and it was, you know, he was living on a different level than I was right then, you know, and I noticed it, but I didn't envy it. I was actually like, screw Rob, like I don't really care, but but looking back, he truly was like, you know, living a more patient spiritual way. And you know, when I wasn't seeking it, it was something I could mock, you know, like quite truly. So I'm looking forward to the questions. I think we're gonna have a good go at it here, boys. And Andrew, you want to fire them up?
Yes, sir. JJ, are you ready?
I'm ready. And I might have some questions of my own because I had
Oh, I don't believe you. I
more
don't
than
believe you.
45 minutes to get ready for the
Woo!
podcast.
I'm
Yeah.
super, super stoked now. All right. So your first question, JJ, is how has the principle of more will be revealed helped you through painful experiences?
Well, I think that, do I say I'm JJ and I'm an addict? Hey,
Hey.
um, I can't, you know, Milan's talking about patience, and I love that story. You know, paying attention. You know, that was no accident. The fact that that was a messenger that brought this illustration of patience. You know, you saw and felt something that was significant, and I freaking love that story. And you know, it's only with the patience that I've learned. I remember early I was sitting, you know, in my meditation space in the bathroom, and early recovery, and I'm one impatient mofo, you know, and I don't know really many of us that are not. You know, it's the whole idea of instant gratification. I got to feel better right now. But I remember thinking the profound thought that patience comes to those who wait. And that made me laugh because I thought it was really profound. patience comes to those who wait. So, you know, it's been something that I've been aware of, and flat out, being in recovery has elongated my patience, and yet it's still one of my character defects. I think one of the understandings and the consolation, um, and the way for me to arrive at patience is the belief that more will be revealed. You know, I really have faith in this process when I use the principles. When I'm out there on my own, uh, meaning full of self-will, and I suspect that's what you know, the ego is, where I've sufficiently eased God out and I'm relying just on myself. You know, I'm really short sheeting the power that is around me all the time. Um, but uh, it's having that faith that in God's time, the solution's going to come. It may not be my time, and I exercise my brain a lot, like trying to help him. You know, help the higher power. You know, like let's get this together. And even that is still, it's part of an action that I need to be prepared and need to be willing to, you know, again, it's a desire to be in the solution. There are times that the best action is to absolutely sit on my hands, you know, and do nothing. That can be the hardest work to do, to surrender and be patient. Um, but read the question one more time to make sure that I feel like I answered it.
How has the principle of more will be revealed helped you through painful experiences?
I think my experience is that I have to rely on you all, on these principles that are embodied in the steps, you know, of asking for help when I am in pain. You know, I need to know that I'm not alone, that it's not at me, um, and to share about the pain. It's the way that more is revealed. But you know, I can't stay bottled up um, in it. Um, so it's again, it's about having faith in this process that I have to participate in. My disease would want to isolate me and alienate me from y'all, and that's not a pretty picture. So being able to accept that has been just, you know, a beautiful truth in my life, and the success of it, the
Gotta
faith.
keep the faith, baby.
Got to keep the faith, baby. Thanks for asking
Yes,
me the
sir.
question.
Um, I love you, JJ. I love you so
Love you,
much.
man.
Did
Uh,
you ask me, brother?
Milan, are you ready?
Yes.
Yes, sir. How has the principle of more will be revealed you through painful experience?
So,
Are you there?
yeah, I'm here. Are
Oh, I'm
you
so
there?
sorry.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
You're just glitching out a bit, so I think
A
you're
little
getting a
glitchy.
delay from me because I could see JJ clear and you're coming, but it's okay. It's not bad. It's just where we're at. We've all had our glitch days with our internet. So the thing for me now is that I think I'm way better at living presently, and in that present living, I feel more like joy and contentment than I did before. And so I think, like, you know, I've had some pretty crazy, painful situations come up where I could have just spiraled and I could have just pity partied. And I think, you know, choosing acceptance and struggling and praying for surrender really on things, and seeing that all the situations aren't in my control. It helps me not take it personally so much. Like I used to use those situations. I would amplify the emotional reactions I would have in order to enable me to use. That was my go-to. Like from my step work, I just see it. And I can even see like now there's throwbacks from it where it's like I'll start to spiral, but I'm like, well, what's the end of this going to be? Me just sitting here being like grumpy about this or sad about something that hasn't even happened, you know? Like it's it's real easy to get removed from now, you know, but I don't know if either of you guys have ever listened to any of the Course in Miracles stuff. Oh, check it out. A
Hmm.
Course in Miracles. It's essentially, you know, about removing everything but love out of situations. You know, because everything but love is really a filter of that, like that is basically how you're creating in your life. Like if I got angry at JJ, okay, so for example,
What's
if
it called?
something, a course in miracles, and the best thing to do is I would start with like the audio book that is the explanation for it. There's one by Alan Cohen and another by a lady, and man, it has been the greatest trip the last couple of weeks for me. My sponsor kind of turned me onto it, but you know, like imagine you in what you're calling a painful situation. You know, be it a hurt family member, um, be it me not getting that job I wanted or the client I wanted or whatever it is. It's like, so I'm either going to react with sadness or anger. I might provoke guilt. I might be putting blame on something else, right? But all those four things that could be like my reaction, they don't affect your spirit or your spirit. What they do is they just affect my spirit. I become angrier. I become sadder. I blame myself eventually. You know, I carry the guilt of something. And so it's just like anything that isn't like basically a reaction of love. Like, I think I sent you that quote the other day, Andrew. I'm not sure if I sent it to you, JJ, but it's like if God is love and will is our thoughts, then God's will is loving thoughts. So all we have to do is turn
Hmm.
ourselves over to
No.
love to loving thoughts. And so it's like instead of like fighting this stuff, you know, this week my thing has been how can I have a loving thought inside this situation? You know, and when you can start to
Yeah, man.
reframe it like that, dude, I had the most free Monday spiritually of my life from changing a dynamic of a relationship with someone. And like all I can say is that, you know, we got a new little facet on our diamond of recovery that that I'm like in love with. So I'm not sure if I
That's
answer
dope.
your
That is
question,
dope.
but it's just like it's kind
Yeah,
of all encompassing in my mind right now because it's changing the way that I'm looking at all my reactions.
that's dope. I like that. A beautiful answer. I'm gonna look that up. A Course in Miracles.
Of course, in miracles, and they actually do courses and like have workbooks and stuff like that. But even just listening to that Alan Cohen thing, and there's a lady, gosh, what's her name? But man, she is unbelievably smart and accurate. Her name is Marianne Williams. The Basics in a Course of Miracles, and
I'm gonna look it up, man.
that lady that lady takes like, hi, let's talk about forgiveness, and she just like, I'm going to pull the entire universe apart and you're going to see why it's imperative to forgive immediately. Like
That's
Is
awesome.
is it
That's
is it
awesome.
Williamson? It's
let's
Williamson, isn't it?
oh yeah, yeah, it is Williamson.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're
Yeah.
on it. We're
Sorry. It
on it.
was just like it showed up the little part on my phone and cut it off.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah,
glad you
yeah.
caught that. For anybody out there, Marianne Williamson, the basics in the Course in Miracles, you want like a fast action, super quick thinking lady. I'm telling you, her ability to think and enunciate things, unbelievable. Like she's doing a live course in this, and it's two talks of hers, and it's like if I was sitting there live, I would feel like she might be the most like super hyper intelligent and well organized thought person. Whoa. Anyway, that's it.
That's
Sorry for going on too long
beautiful.
there.
Beautiful. You're good. You're good. You ain't going too long, man. This is us, man. We can do what we want around here.
That's right, Kurt.
Timers. I was you hit on something early. I didn't want to forget about JJ. You talked about instant gratification. You know why they call it instant gratification?
Why?
Because it's gone in an instant.
Ooh.
That's what Sean tells me that all the time. He tells me that he's
Right.
like it's called instant gratification because it's gone in an instant.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
kind of triggered something for me.
I never heard that before, so I'm happy for that one.
Yeah. So how has the principle of more will be revealed helped me through painful experiences? I remember sitting in these rooms early, thinking, really thinking heavily on things, and I used to cry out to this God of my misunderstanding. You know, I was coming to understand God at that point. You know, the God who understands me, and I remember being like, you know, why this, why me, why now, on all the things, right? I remember having a relationship early that was a problem. I remember just when my plans would fall through, like when things didn't happen like I wanted them to. I remember just really thinking God didn't have my back. Like I feel like I wasn't doing the right things because I wasn't getting the answers that I wanted, and that's not what it's all. That's not like how this thing works for me. As I've come to really come full circle on this process. More will be revealed reminded me like I don't have to understand the pain. Like when I'm dealt with painful experiences, a lot of the things that I run into that are problems for me deal with pain in some way. You know, it doesn't have to be physical pain. It can be any kind of pain, any kind of painful situation. But I understand like pain didn't mean I didn't have like because I was running into these problems. It didn't mean that I still didn't have a purpose in my life, right? And over time, I started pushing through these painful experiences, and then I started seeing at the end what this pain was revealing, right? Like I remember pushing through pain, not knowing why I was pushing through it, not understanding the fruits of my labor pushing through it. But then I remember, as I started getting some clean time, I remember the feeling of knowing why I pushed through that pain, and I would get that. I would get the feeling of like, hey, that's why you did that. That's why you pushed through it. That's why you stayed clean through that. That's why you did this. And that was the turning point for me, right? I started to realize like every hurt and disappointment and shit that I was going through, there was a reason behind that. There was something coming behind that. You know, there was some revelation coming, and so I would look forward to it. I've said this before, like the magic we're looking for is in the work we're avoiding. But it's about pushing through those times, and those heartbreaks, and my detours prepare me for something greater, right? All the times I had to detour and find my way back onto the main road, I knew another route, right? I knew another avenue to get to where I needed to get to, whether it was just not using that day or whether it was helping somebody out, a sponsee, or whatever it was. As I pushed through these painful and difficult experiences, I learned how to reroute. I became my own GPS system through this process. Right, it was just easier for me to get from A to B at any time, regardless of what came up. So over time, when I would do that, that little attaboy, man, my brain keeps track of all those times that I pushed through those painful times, and you know, uh, positive attitude and negativity. That's what pain stands for. It just came to my mind. Pain, positive attitude and negativity. But when I would lose jobs and I would go through these struggles, I would realize God had something really, really, really special on the other side of that for me. If I just stayed faithful and I stayed committed to my program and to this to my relationship with you guys. And but that's when I would really grow the most. When I wanted to isolate, when I wanted to build up the walls, but instead I prayed and I talked about it, and I went to meetings. I realized what my own resilience was. Like I do have some resilience, and I've got some strength. I've got some balls with me, man. I've got some toughness about myself. Like I've got some resilience here, and I am not one that is to be ignored in this process. And I'm gonna stay clean, regardless of what anybody else thinks. So that's kind of where my head with it went with it. This pain is not an enemy. guys, anymore for me. Like pain is not an enemy, right?
The
It's an
fact of life.
opportunity. It's an opportunity. It's a fact. We're gonna, pain is gonna happen. And pain doesn't stop death, right? Like it stops life if you let pain stop you. Like you're not gonna grow. That's my take on it. Anyways, I'll pass that.
I love that.
Love you guys, man.
JJ, you got a question for me? What a great first round, I want to say. Wow. That was
I
just
love
Great
you.
beautiful.
first round. I can't, when I think about the pain of life, it's like in the natural order of things, we all come in here screaming and yelling like it's just bursting pain, right? So it's like, what's the freaking surprise? It's
Yeah.
like, man. Well, this is my first question is, do you have a time that you remember first having a sense that more will be revealed in your recovery? The first time you had a sense that more would be revealed.
Yes. So it was that feeling of my first surrender. Like it was all of a sudden this insanely loud, never stopping hamster wheel of insanity. I'm sure most of you out there have your own little hamsters and your own fucking wheel sounds. But for me, it was like, it was gone. And I was like, okay, there's like this, there's some kind of magic happening here. And this never happened before in my whole life. And I was like, okay, let's go. Like I'm like, well, they weren't lying about that. There's going to be something else coming up that's true. And then when I started to like, the one thing for sure is that I misinterpreted the cause and effect of every step before I got there. When I would read the list, like I said before, I thought the moral inventory was going to be a bunch of apologies to me. I thought the amends, but so when that happened, I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, like what else is now possible? you
Mhm.
know and was I patient? No, I wanted it all at once. I'll admit that. Like I they would hand me the step work stuff, and it wasn't like I was writing small amounts, but I would take it back to my room, I would work on it that night, and I would be like, the avid student. Like next day I'm like, got step 2, got step 3, like, thinking like if I answered those questions I was ready for the next step. But and that really, like, I remember them literally saying at the treatment center, this is your lesson in patience right now. Like the fact that they only had so much staff to review everybody's stuff in a certain rate, it was a good choke on me just trying to race like a rabbit. So yeah, I totally remember it, like very much so. And I remember just like almost anticipatory, like when you're a little kid about to go to amusement park or something. Like something really cool is coming up, but it's like an hour and a half drive to get there, and it's tomorrow. So you've got to try to sleep tonight, and you got to sit in the car ride.
It's funny.
Very cool. And,
Uh,
yes, it was the removal of that hamster wheel and that insanity. It went
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
gone, and that
It
was
like
inspirational. No,
so
that's cool.
so dramatically. Yeah, it was.
That's cool.
I call it the Jedi mind trick of the program for me. Like it was just like I can't explain it, but I sure can love it.
Very
love you
cool.
guys, man. I'll take that question, JJ.
Andrew, my brother, do you have a time that you remember first having a sense more will be revealed?
Yeah, it's a great question. You might be able to tell me where this is in the literature, but I believe there's a line in the literature that says, "Pain is the touchstone of all spiritual progress." Do you know where that's at, JJ?
I know
You've heard that before?
I've heard that before, but I can't tell you where to find it.
You muted yourself.
I think it's in Living Clean, but I'll check right now.
Yeah, you said that. It's just I remember seeing that line. But pain is the touchstone of all spiritual progress. Um, I remember early sitting in these rooms and, all those cliche sayings that we hear all the time, keep coming back, more will be revealed, all that stuff. Keep coming, don't leave 5 minutes before the miracle happens. I remember being really like over it to the point where I didn't want to come back because it was just very, very cliche to me. I thought this was kind of like a cultish kind of thing going on. And even though I was kind of cool with it, I was like, man, I like F this, man, F this. But I remember as I prayed more, as I kind of got a little clean time, and I started trying to implement some of these things these suggestions y'all were giving me. Being patient and more will be revealed. I remember like, and it was something stupid. It wasn't this grandiose thing. It wasn't like a big spiritual awakening. It was a
Mhm.
gradual understanding of like why y'all were sharing what y'all were sharing. It was a gradual
Mhm.
understanding of why we're being of service, why we're giving hugs at the door. All these little things that I would start to understand why we were doing these things. And it went from like the people that would say that same cliche shit all the time, like me being. It went from me being so pissed off about that to like I needed to hear that when they weren't there. I'm like looking for those people. I was looking for them. It was really cool. It went from it was a complete 180 when I started realizing like why they were doing it, and then you had some people, JJ, that would literally every time they would share every day. I'm talking somebody with 30 plus years clean would share every single day, and he wouldn't share about his shit. He would always go like right to the message, some kind of newcomer message, and it was always some cliche, really dumb thing. But looking back at that, man, like that is so beautiful. It's so beautiful that he dedicated his 5 minutes of sharing in that meeting every single morning to make sure that newcomer felt welcome. You know what I mean? He wasn't getting shit off of his plate in terms of like what his problems were for the day. That was his deal. That was his deal. And so just little things like that, knowing that man had a plan. God had a plan for him to do what he was doing every day, to take that newcomer and to make them feel welcome and warm, even though I was pissed off as a newcomer trying to hear that. It's just all these little layers that really really start layering up when you really become willing to accept this into your life. JJ, so that's a beautiful question. I'm not gonna run on about it anymore. More will be revealed, man. Pain is
Okay,
the
I
touchstone.
found I found the quote, and it's actually in the AA 12 Steps, 12 Traditions. It said
Man, I
someone,
almost said that. I said I believe
oh, yeah,
I know
It's
that the
not an
version of
NA.
that is
no,
in the
I,
predecessor
yeah,
fellowship.
and it
I
says
almost said it.
Wow.
someone who knew what he was talking about once remarked that pain was the touchstone of all spiritual progress.
Yeah.
How heartily we AAs can agree with him, for we know that the pains of drinking had come before sobriety and emotional turmoil before serenity.
God is great, bro. I was researching this
Yeah.
whole thing, and and it popped up that it was in our literature,
Look,
that's beautiful. It's
look,
so
my
beautiful.
attic, my attic experience said, I believe, well, I know for a fact there was a reference to that in my AA roots.
And you didn't want to
Mm.
say it. You didn't
And
want to
I
say
didn't,
something.
I didn't say it because the addict doubt and fear that I would be wrong. So, it's just like this disease wants to stop us
So
wherever it
cool.
can. So that
So
is
cool.
so cool. And Milan, repeat again, where was that?
That was in the AA 12 by 12.
In the 12 and 12. Listen, again, my brothers, it's like the foundation of our NA program, man. It's just embedded in the freaking AA literature. And the thing that God has done is just sprinkle so much, well, check it out, fertilizer, because us addicts are so full of shit that, you know,
I'm out here quoting AA literature. I don't even know it. It's fucking
yeah,
wild.
that's right. But you
That's
do, you do. That's
crazy.
what I mean. It's in our spirit. It's in our soul. It's in the teachings. It's in what we learn. I mean, this whole process, man. So I don't know. I'm just grateful, and I only speak to that because I hate it when either fellowship wants to somehow separate or disrespect, because what NA for me, I just love it's turned the message technicolor. It's and the NA literature is so prolific, and that's
Yeah,
just
man.
truth. That's just the truth. It continues to split the message into these facets of the diamond, that are so beautiful. Um, in thinking about that, you know, oh, I think I went, what I, in both of your shares, you know, what buys the patience is what's at the end of running out of patience is getting loaded.
Well,
And the gun to our head is when it's clear, right? Is that, look, prick, you have to not use no matter freaking what. I mean, that's the gift in having the disease of addiction to the degree that the addicts that show up in NA have. You're going to die, motherfucker. You're going to die. If you don't understand, you know, that's why we have patience. There's no other, right? There's no redeeming, you know, I mean, for me, you know, God only touched me when my choice was not to use, right? Now
I
I'm having a
agree.
spiritual awakening,
Yeah,
right?
man.
And and so when I was thinking about the first time, it's like I did have this, that which I already shared about the very first meeting. It was revealed that I was an alcohol addict, that I had this disease. I wasn't just insane, that I had a disease, and it was based on lies and my own belief systems. But what the first time that I really felt, wow, more will be revealed, was when I had commenced my fourth step. And I don't know how many months of being clean. Like, you know, it just don't, you know, don't use no matter what, one day at a time, you know, from my last clean date, March 15th, you know, 1988, you know, because it's been a choice, you know, and I have not wanted to give up this gift of choice. Because if I use, you know, that was revealed to me, man, is that, you know, you have no choice. You are a punk. And so not using, but it was in doing my first fourth step, because I think it was out of the fear and concern of not using that I surrendered, you know, best I could to God as I understood him. I'm still not having a sense that anything's really being revealed. I'm just like running desperately to the light. Don't use, don't use, don't use, you know, and accept whatever is whatever the pain is. And again, that was early literature learning for me in the predecessor fellowship. You know, they said that we find our problems are of our own making. And I just believed all this information because I mean, the woman that shared that very first meeting about the disease, I went, okay, this explains so much. So, you know, the program, the process, God had my attention through these recovering fuck ups, you know, addicts, alcoholics. And when I did my first fourth step and I started writing out about my resentments and asking myself why I had them, and I'm going, are you kidding me? You know, I resented, big one was resenting my first wife, you know, for getting pregnant.
And you put the wiener in.
Like I wasn't there. You know, like she came up to me from the market and said she bought a baby, right? We can't afford a baby.
And it's yours.
Yeah, right. But I mean, that's, you know, I mean, that's, you know, the belief, I mean, the resentment and fear and resentment overshadowed, that propelled me into my addiction in a major way, bro. You know, it really did. And, you know, other angers, resentments, and, you know, about my family members, you know, when I wrote them down, and it revealed to me is that, you know, you were living in some fantasy world that's not real, you know, and that's what this process has been, you know, like we learn about belief systems, you know, and we had them when we got here, you know, we believed, you know, that I got to take what I need, that I have to do whatever, lie and manipulate to get what I want, you know, and it's been a consistent revealing of what doesn't work, you know, what part that I believe that is it's not true. and so much of this journey is admitting what the truth is, and that reveals so much in itself, and the addict self wants to have power and control, so it will, that's like, what are our expectations? What do we want out of life? There's a beautiful piece of literature in Living Clean that somehow, I don't know if we'll have opportunity to read it, but it really, more will be revealed. And in this paragraph, we read it on Meeting Makers the other night. I was late. But maybe we'll read it. I don't know what sort of time we have, and you guys have other questions, but that's the answer to my question: is actually doing the work in the fourth step.
Do
I
you
was
have that ready
overwhelmed.
to read right now?
I do. It's right here.
Okay, read it. Go for it.
Um,
We write the script to this as we go.
well,
Yes.
this is from Living Clean, and it's chapter
My
4.
favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the reading was following the topic was illness, right? And they described lots of illnesses and what we do. But what I got on the meeting, maybe a paragraph or two before this. So when I heard this particular meeting, the only illness that I was relating to, which that will be referred to in this paragraph, is the illness of addiction. Okay. And more will be revealed. We are always on a continuum between health and illness, between action and wishing, between living in accordance with our beliefs and betraying ourselves and our values. We come back to the tools of the program again and again to fine tune that balance and to find a way to bring ourselves back to a life we are comfortable with. Our process of inventory, amends, and surrender is an unending source of improvement for us. We find our values and learn what it means to live by them. Over time, we can let go of our expectations for what we thought life was supposed to be, or what we think others expect of us, and live according to the values we find within ourselves. As we learn what is true for us, we find that we are less compelled either to be perfect or to destroy ourselves. We are free to live lives according to our own choosing and design. More will be revealed. I mean, what an unbelievable goal and roadmap,
Mm-hmm. I love you, JJ. I just got to
I
say
love
it,
you.
man.
I love it more.
I love you both.
I really, I'm not sure you can measure that. Get out your tablespoon.
Damn. I love you, JJ. I love you both, man.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask a question here. Andrew,
Yes.
the big book teaches us that we cease fighting anything or anyone. When we stop fighting, truth reveals itself naturally. What have you learned about letting life unfold instead of wrestling with it?
That's a beautiful question. JJ, I wanted have you heard my new acronym for fear? Have you been on here since? My new
Fart excessively and run.
false evidence appearing real.
No, I've heard that, but the one that you've most recently introduced is future events
Already
already
ruined.
ruined.
Yes. I
That
I didn't know if you had been privy to that yet or not.
yes, and I love that. I love that.
I just wanted you to know that. But yeah, so the fear, ask that question again, Milan. I'm so sorry.
What have you learned about letting life unfold instead of wrestling with it?
And also the acronym for fail is first attempt in learning. JJ, would you like that?
Cool, man.
Fail,
Yes,
first attempt in learning. Put that one on
absolutely,
your thing. So
absolutely.
So when I, what, ask that question again, Milan. I'm such an idiot.
What have you learned about letting life unfold instead of wrestling with it?
So when I'm patient, things happen the way they're supposed to. When I'm patient, I can pray on things and I don't act immediately, and I can, pause, step back, and look at it from an outside perspective, looking in. Which that's another thing I'm really, really good at now. I can really, really, I can pause. What does pause stand for, JJ? Pray and use step 11. Ooh, you heard that one?
No, I love that.
I know, because I know you're a step 10, 11, and 12 guy. But when I can pause, pray, and look at the situation for what it really is, and know that there can be good and bad outcomes of that situation, a lot of times I'm really, really a lot better going forward, moving through that situation. Being able to understand how it's going to hurt other people. It's not just about me anymore. It's really about other people today. And when I find myself getting trapped up in that self-centered thinking, man, I've got to get outside of myself. I have to do something active. I've gotta practice some compassion some way. I gotta go give that homeless guy $1. I gotta go open that door for that lady. I gotta go buy some flowers for my mom. I gotta do something, some act of kindness to get me out of my head. Because my ego, man, is not my amigo. We all know that. We all know that. And so it's about tapping into who I really am deep down in my soul, man. Soul. What does soul stand for? Source of unconditional love, JJ. Soul. You heard that one?
No.
Spirit of universal love. It's 2 of them for you.
Love it.
I've got to get tapped into my soul and my heart, man. And it's not about finding the old me. This is about becoming a completely different person. Like, I'm a brand new person now that I'm not using, and I've found a higher power in my life that is loving, kind, and is greater than me. It's not about me. It allows me to take my my fails. When I do fail, that first attempt in learning, whatever. When I fail, they don't cripple me. They don't break me. I because it's not about me. But then also my wins, I can spread them out amongst my friends and family and my loved ones. Right, I can spread them out because, again, it's not about me. It's not about me. So the more and more I can lean into this principle here, the more and more resilience. That's the one thing that keeps coming up, is like resilience and revelation. Those 2 words come up a lot in this topic for me, because when I can hang my hat on this principle, like, revelations come tenfold, man. I've learned so much about myself when I can trust in this process and understand that more is going to be revealed, and trust that God's got the best thing for me at the end. When I make a mistake, that's not an opportunity for me to go crawling in under my covers and not talk to anybody. It's an opportunity for growth today. When I'm uncomfortable, I got to push through those times, because I'm used to running from them and going to use putting drugs on it. It's not that I can't do that anymore. I can't do that anymore. I'm allergic to that, JJ. So I'll pass that. Thank you for asking me. That's a great question.
Okay, J from West Virginia. The big book teaches that we cease fighting anything or anyone. When we stop fighting, truth reveals itself naturally. What have you learned about letting life unfold instead of wrestling with it?
Oh, I remember that suggestion. Stop fighting everything and everyone,
And the promises.
Yeah. And it's a process, man. It truly is. And I don't know, the ambition to do and accomplish things. And I have a greater sense here as the years go by that whatever wisdom is, it's really just fatigue. It's like I can't find it anymore. It's like I surrender. And but I know that my experience is, and the the chapter uh, one of the continuing miracles of recovery, this is from More Will Be Revealed, is becoming a productive, responsible member of society. We need to tread carefully into areas that expose us to ego-inflating experiences, prestige, and manipulation that may be difficult for us. We have found that the way to remain a productive, responsible member of society is to put our recovery first. NA can survive without us, but we cannot survive without NA. What's significant here, I mean, this why I turn to this is like fighting, for the legal tender. God put me well, we're all in a position of having to provide, you know, to be self-sufficient, to be through our own contributions. Um, and we learn that. And and I find myself building or being part of building a business. It's a weird business, but there's a need for it, and there's currently 30 freaking people that live off of it, which I still don't understand how that happened, right? Um, so when I think about fighting, people, places, and things, um, there's this energy that's needed, to push through and to provide. And I know that without the balance beam of our fellowship and the process of 12-step recovery, where I recognize it's time for me to stop pushing, you know. But Andrew knows, my tendency is to push and push and push, right? And at what point, I'm actually fighting, instead of surrendering. It's what I'm still learning about, man. This freaking process of life is so unbelievably rich and multifaceted, like a diamond. You know,
You got FOMO like crazy.
Well, so at what point am I fighting, it out to not miss anything?
When you're falling asleep at the wheel, maybe.
Yeah, that would be it, right? Or in the waiting room and the examination room of the cardiologist, you know, and but read that again, at least the back half of that.
What have you learned about letting life unfold instead of wrestling with it?
Rawr.
Yeah, I'm more willing to sit back and realize that I'm not, the center of the universe, that I don't need. And our 11 step talks about that, to quit rebelling against the natural order of things is what our 11 step in the flat book says. And hey, it's a constant one day at a deal thing. And if this is what the disease of addiction, would have us fight uh, beyond the point that we need to where we create more chaos. And this is, as I'm actually at a point where I'm stepping away from the business and letting these beautiful people
Ooh,
run it. Yeah,
retirement,
yeah,
retirement.
yeah.
Okay,
What's it look like? And
you've
again,
earned that, bro.
It looks like more podcasts.
It does.
uh,
Yes, yes.
but again, God has had
You
to
heard
put
it here first.
you, you God's had to put the ankle bracelet on by like limiting my freaking my lung capacity. So it's all up to what the higher power has. I'm still here, guys. I survived a freaking serious
Put you on a
attack
curfew.
on my heart. And so that was perfect evidence of me still fighting. Right, I didn't surrender. I didn't go to get checked out soon enough. So, but just the awareness that we have. Have we stopped? Have we stopped fighting people, places, and things? And the truth is that I want to be, and that's where in that third step reading, stop rebelling against the natural order of things is that, you know, I need to participate. I need to take action. But the more that I am in line with my higher power, you know, in the rhythm of the universe, I'm not fighting. I'm picking my feet up, you know, and I'm moving along in the direction that we're intended to go. And even, you know, despite my rebellion, you know, this creator continues to affect positive creative results in my life, and I'm really grateful. So that's the truth.
I love that.
I
I
love it,
love
bro.
it.
Okay, so the big book teaches that we cease fighting anything or anyone. When we stop fighting, truth reveals itself naturally. What have I learned about letting life unfold instead of wrestling with it? You know, what I've learned is how much I don't know, first of all, on that front, and that my plans are not big picture. You know, like as big of the picture as I think I know, when I do stop fighting it, something way better than I could ever think of happens. Like, I don't know a single person who doesn't agree with that. You know, like that it's like when we finally let that shit go, we're always surprised by the amazingness that occurs. You know,
Yeah.
and quite frankly, like worrying is praying for bad things to happen, right? So it's um it's like trying to learn how to approach with love and gratitude rather than expectations and building resentments about stuff. And so, you know, the part that I can do is I can flex that gratitude muscle. I can I can try to find and deepen my ways of loving. In you know, one thing that for me is that if I get happy, peaceful, content, joyous about now, which I would say that I am in a greater state of that than I've ever been. The last 3 months of my life, I'm absolutely swearing up and down. I feel like I have a double those things in my life. And what that does is that I don't care about what's happening next. And I'm not sitting there lamenting yesterday because I'm actually just content with now. And what that does is that, like, that stops me. Like, when I wasn't happy now, the only fucking chance I had for happiness was in the future because it
Hmm.
wasn't happening right now. So, like, I wasn't happy in the past and I wasn't happy now. The only thing I got is what's coming up. And guess what? I'd slide into that moment unhappy too, you know, but now it's not even about, like, I feel like it's like I don't even know I'm living presently when I'm living presently. You know, like I'm actually just like out there doing my exercise or recording my song or being right here, right now. And I'm like, fuck, that was great. Like in retrospect, I'm like, whoa, was I ever happy? You know, and that was because I was here. And, you know, so one of the things for myself really is is to build a life towards those things, like build a life towards that peace and contentment and that joy. And 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 a big part of it for me is coming from finally taking care of myself. Like
I
when
know.
I feel healthier, when I'm like doing nicer things to my body, then my body comes out already not in fight or flight or in decrepit mode or in a lack of health or whatever it is. And you know, like part of what I was and still fight about, you know, was my expectations of you versus the real you. And my new sponsor, like I think I showed it to Andrew maybe on this podcast once. But okay, like imagine JJ, right? Here's Milan. And you're like, oh, today, you know, Milan is this. You know, Milan's this white page. You can't really see. Okay, now here's this. you've labeled me as this, and what this is this is the person who's supposed to be nice to JJ, who's supposed to be reciprocal in all his friendships and not steal from JJ, right? But the thing is that while this is in front of me, because this is your role you've given me, you never see me. All you see is that page. And so the thing that she really brought to my awareness was that I was giving out roles and never giving anybody the chance to show me their true self. And
Yeah.
and
Wow.
and so that's, like, that's a big part of that question. Like, life unfold instead of wrestling with it. Well, if you're really going to let life unfold, you're actually going to start to learn to love people for who they are. Like,
Yeah.
that's probably one of the biggest sources of pain for us, is
Yeah.
that creation of the roles, and our inability to accept that reality that JJ, you were just talking about being deluded in that. And we're so deluded that we think our roles are those people, and that's why we're mad at them. And I don't know, for me, it's a really big leap in thought, but the thing is that without that sprinkling of awareness, I'll never change. And now that it's like that, now that she kind of pointed that out to me, I see where I'm assigning roles, you know, and it's just like, that's not loving. That's not loving. And so if my thing is to learn to love more completely, then I have to go through the discomfort of addressing my role assignment, right? Like, I have to be
Yeah.
able to say, no, Milan, you're not allowed to do that, because I'm the only one who can say that, right? Like, or at least call myself on it, or, and now here's the real thing, boom, step 7, become entirely ready to have him remove this. And how will I be entirely ready? When I'm willing to experience that discomfort of confrontation of my actual shortcoming.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, man. That's beautiful.
And that's all I got on
I
that.
love
But I
that,
love you
man. I
guys.
love that. You could have dropped the mic on me on that one. You were
That's
going
that's
to. You
pretty
thought
much.
about it.
Is that
You
is
thought
that all
about
you
it.
is that all you thought about, Milan?
Tell me how you really feel about it, man.
Yeah, man. That's really
Uh,
that was intense,
that was fire, bro. That's
yeah, it's
fire.
beautiful. Our spirit of anonymity is to see the addict that walks in, the Andrew that I've seen every night at 10:30. But tonight, the anonymity is that he's a etch a sketch, and he's now a clean slate, right? That's
Yeah.
that's the spirit of anonymity. That's as heavy as what Milan was saying, and that is so much about being here now, present, and unaffected by the fears and resentments of past and future. And I'm gonna shut up.
I love
No,
this. I love you, man.
JJ, you guys, I fucking overwhelmingly love both of you. Like, I really do. I feel like we're brothers with some really old mother, because for us to be brothers, she would have had to
Bro,
have a long birthing cycle.
we are all brothers, man, under
Yep.
God's
That's right.
watch,
Yeah.
man. Hey,
That is
we're all
beautiful.
working a program, and what does program stand for? Stay with me, JJ. People relying on God relaying a message.
There it is.
Program. Come
I
on,
dig it.
baby.
That's right.
Come on, baby. Come
I
on,
love you,
man.
man.
I be coming up with these things in my sleep, man.
Yes, you are.
58 of them on yesterday or Wednesday's podcast.
We had a guy on that does acronyms too, and we were having like an acronym war.
Oh no, it wasn't a war. That'd be like China fighting for the Philippines.
That's true. That's true. But we were having a good time with it. I don't lose on that one. I don't lose. All right. So I'm gonna ask you, JJ, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Ask
cool.
it, JJ.
So what has been revealed to you in your recovery that you never expected, JJ?
Oh Lord,
Mm-hmm.
what has been
Revealed to
revealed?
you in your recovery that you never expected.
How much I don't much I don't know, how much I have to learn, how full and how big life is. Read it again.
What has been revealed to you, JJ, in your recovery that you never expected?
I don't know. I think I've always been in awe somewhat of life itself, and whether that's been a fear at one point. And through this process of recovery, it continues to make more and more sense. And the gratitude that I have for the creator, that really there's so much beauty here. And, if there's a higher power, there's a lower power, and to be vigilant and aware of its influence. Um, and in my life, um, trusting and believing in this process of staying clean. And I'm so grateful for the way that, we're so blessed with our society, with our fellowship, with the human beings that are in this tribe, that that continue to show me what I need to learn, to bring me back to principles, that it isn't as freelance as I thought, yet it is. It's like there's only one of me, but the best of me is when I submit it to disciplines and a structure, you know, and and um, and that's been a beautiful thing to learn, and it's occurred to me that we all got here wanting to be different, maybe, wanting to solve our problems, and we were all pretty much the same the same blob of grievances and ailments I heard years ago, and to have an experience that as we surrender our way of thinking, my way of thinking, and I'm willing to change um, and accept the truth and accept the love, and it's a process. Will I ever, and I love, it, part of me, as I was listening to Milan with this, being in the now, and, and I think what an amazing place for him to be, right, at this stage of his recovery. Um, and I'm seeing this from a 30-year effort, right? But then the answer is, look what Milan does. Look what Milan does for his recovery. And this is not smoke up your ass. This is just the truth for all of us to see. Look what Andrew does. I mean, I am here, but I think about the years of my recovery where I was fighting, creating my own little issues, a second marriage, another family, taking on all of the issues of every employee, that I'm trying to incorporate in my life and have it work out for everybody. The program was always there for me, and we all have our own path. Um, but to be at this point and to hear, to me, as a result of these steps, I have a spiritual awakening, so that I'm aware that my happiness is right now. And because I related so much with your description,
Look at that smile on that man's face. Look at that smile on that man's face. I love you, man.
I don't know that there is an addict that wouldn't relate with what Milan shared, which is like his experience. So part of me is envious. Is like, this motherfucker's like 3-4 years into this process, and
Fired
you know,
up.
you know,
2
and
years.
2 years, okay, it might as well be 102 years. Really,
We're
you
no
know,
fronts, no fronts here, man. Come on.
time doesn't. It's so. What am I talking about? I don't fucking know. What? It's this experience of life. Like somehow this relates to the question because
It does so much.
it's life is so much bigger than like I don't regret the fact that I've been through every day that I have lived. I'm so freaking grateful. But to be able to be here and hear Milan describe, that if I'm happy and if I love this day, which is the one that I'm in, I'm not projecting into, well, I'm going to arrange this and next week I'll be happy. It's like, oh, I'll be happy next week because I'm happy right now. And I will look at my yesterday, and again, it's about picking those battles. It's about the other question, well, what am I going to fight? What am I going to accept? What am I going to surrender? And so much the effort is that I'm afraid I'm going to lose something that I have. This is again out of AA literature, out of the 12 and 12, that I'm afraid I'm going to lose something that I have or not get something that I want. And that's all about self-will. And when I look at the rear view, despite both those things, I have been given, I've been given so much, and even the pain of my second marriage, and I pray for my second wife, and I hurt because she's in pain, and I have to keep moving on. The relationship I'm in now is one that I've dreamt about, and again to accept it as what's here today, you know, and to appreciate it and to love it. And that really is, I guess, maybe the biggest lesson is that at whatever point the fear and the pain come in, is that I believe that God's taking care of me and will, you know, in the days ahead. And even whenever I'm, yeah, as we get closer to the end of this trip, I'm a little closer to it than you guys. And that's if we all live in a chronological way, right? Um, but it's interesting to even to embrace that, to love what's coming next, to love uh, what's left, not be afraid. And I love you guys. I appreciate being in this spirit of
I
this
I
life.
just need you to know, both of y'all, that my cuppeth overfloweth, boys, with love, like love and gratitude for y'all right now, man. Like I'm just like I can't even explain to y'all how much love and gratitude I feel right now to be with you guys and just have y'all as part of my life and what I have going on, man. I'm just
I
blessed, man.
feel
I'm
it
about to
too,
cry.
dude. I feel
I'm
it.
about to cry, man. And I was gonna say something about Milan's answer right there. JJ, I wish we'd have got it on camera. We got it recorded, man. I wish we'd have got that thing recorded. Oh shit, we did. We're on a podcast. We'll be able to watch that thing later. Oh shit, damn. Okay, all right. All right, I'm being silly. All right.
Okay. You want to ask me the question?
Milan's like, yeah, bro, I'll be knocking that shit down all day. I'll do it again if you guys need to. What has been, or what has been revealed to you in your recovery that you never expected?
Ooh. There's a few things for sure. And the very first thing is that I did not believe, like, I had no example of a happy, sober person. I like the first group of people I sat in that was sober and happy and laughing was in treatment. 100%. So before I went to treatment, I had like this anticipatory of like a glum, shitty, unhappy life. Like just saying because that's all I saw by example. I think other things that came to mind when you first asked the question is like, you know, that my soul is like already in its perfection and that all these amazing qualities of goodness have always been inside me. I always thought that it was like I would have to get things like honesty from outside, acceptance from outside, tolerance, but they're all like in us, ready for us to prepare the vessel to carry that message. You know, it's like we have to, I believe that we have to ready a certain amount, and then boom, that's when our higher power comes through us and we reconnect with the universe, you know. And I just absolutely had no clue about that. That was a big surprise to me, you know. And then, you know, that I'm here to serve, love, and accept the universe. Like, it was like me versus the universe. I remember saying that, me versus the universe. That's like a dog biting its own tail, you know, like,
Like you
and
are the universe.
I'm part of the universe.
Yes.
I know, and that, you know, that true change isn't only possible, but it's an amazing way to live, and that it's the only way that I see as truly living now. Like, you know, I'm not saying I'm never going to relapse. I'm not making some boastful thing like that. But I don't know how now I could ever use or drink alcohol again and not feel like I'm ruining the best thing I've ever fucking got in my life. Like,
Mhm.
I don't like, I would literally hate that disconnection, you know? And
Mm.
and I'm not fucking praying for that to happen. But it's just like I can see now that I don't want this to stop. And my commitment, perseverance, willingness, and time I put into things is my fucking insurance policy. You know,
Yeah.
like I I I was straight yesterday because of the stuff I did. Guess what? I done it all today. And as soon as I'm done this podcast, I'm starting a new nooner meeting in the next town over today. It's our inaugural meeting today. And one lady's making cinnamon buns. And I'm real excited.
Damn, I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. Fuck
Homemade cinnamon buns? Woo!
it. Getting on a plane. Getting on a plane.
Oh man, how awesome would that be to pick you up at an
Oh
airport and
man.
roll you into a meeting?
With some fresh cinnamon buns. Dang.
Ooh.
Dang. Dang. That
And
would be
this lady
amazing.
knows how to cook. Like,
Oh man, I'm gonna be thinking about that later. All right, cool. So you ready for me to answer?
yeah.
All right, cool. So the question, what has been revealed to me in my recovery that I never expected? Both of y'all knocked it out of the park. This has been an amazing, amazing podcast. I wish I could go watch it already. But I want to read something out of It More Will Be Revealed out of the basic text. Page 104. Today we have the freedom of choice, JJ.
Yes, I got the page right here, bro.
Yep. Today we have the freedom of choice. As we work the program to the best of our ability, the obsession with self is removed. Much of our loneliness and fear is replaced by the love and security of the fellowship. Helping a suffering addict is one of the greatest experiences life has to offer. We are willing to help. We have had similar experiences and understand fellow addicts as no one else can. We offer hope, for we know that the better way of life is now real for us, and we give love because it was given so freely to us. New frontiers are open to us as we learn how to love. Love can be the flow of life energy from one person to another. By caring, sharing, and praying for others, we become part of them. Through empathy, we allow addicts to become part of us. Bro, that is one of the most important lines in the whole literature for me. Talking about the flow of life energy from one person to another, and how we become them and they become us, man. You know, our diversity is our strength, right? It talks to the diversity in this program, and that all of us have something to offer here, and we all are right where we are, and we're all supposed to be right where we are today, because you know God has a plan for us, man. God has a plan for us. It goes on to say, as we become more God reliant and gain more self respect, we realize we don't need to feel superior or inferior to anyone. Our real value is in being ourselves. Our egos, once so large and dominant, now take a backseat because we are in harmony with a loving God. We find that we lead richer, happier, and much fuller lives when we lose self will. So there it is, man. There it is. It's written
I
right
can hear
there.
I can hear every word, all right? I just had to step out for a minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're a talking tree. I love it. It's dope.
Your
I'm just
frogs are still
I
here, so
love
I love it.
ribbit, ribbit. So that really breaks that down to me. And to answer my question, um, I'm capable of love today. That's what I didn't think I was capable of feeling love, being loved, and being somebody that could love other people. And as y'all know, love is my middle name, bro. I'm all about some love.
I
So
really
that
think
was
you should legally change it to your middle name.
I'm like my middle
I think
initial
it's
is
only
L. My
$500.
middle initial is L.
Yeah. What is it,
So
Larry?
it's Lucian is my middle name.
I
It's
have
my
Leopold.
grandfather. My grandfather's name. So it's my grandfather's name, Lucian,
Mine
which is
too.
beautiful.
Is
Is it?
Lucian?
No, mine
Yes,
was
Lucian.
Leopold.
Lucian, behave
Mine is
yourself.
Lucian. Mine is Lucian. My grandfather's name was Lucian.
I love it. Lucian,
Yeah.
behave yourself.
Yeah. So that's kind of my answer is that I'm capable of being capable of love, right? Not
Yeah.
not that conditional, chaotic, approval seeking kind of love, but the actual unconditional love that seeks to not keep any record of wrongs, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I used to not even be able to look at myself in the mirror, JJ. You know what I mean? Without being just feeling of disgust. And so now, as I've worked the process of the steps, I'm able to feel love from this fellowship and then give it out tenfold. I've got that super soaker full of love, man, and I just, bro, it doesn't run out. It's like the unlimited infinity gun. It does not run out of ammo. Um, and so what I have to realize is that all this stuff, the love part softened me. It softened my heart. Softened my landing zone here, so I have some traction here to run with. Um, but what I do realize is that we're all, and this is a big realization to me. I thought we were all individuals and we all had these we all have our own issues, but we're all essentially the same people going through the same thing just in our own way, right? We're all walking through these hard times together, and we all are addicts, right? We all have the same last name. So that's what I have to lean into. That's my
I
answer. I
love it.
love you guys, man.
So I
Yeah.
just want to check in with everybody. What is your time for sign off today, Andrew?
10, 15 minutes,
Okay.
15.
And JJ?
I was till 1 o'clock.
Okay. So what I'll
We can go
do
15,
is
20.
let's
Yeah, I'm good.
ask would JJ will ask this next question, and I'll just put 3 minutes on the timer. And then by the time
You
we
want to go
settle it.
5? You want to go 5 minutes? I can go 5 if y'all want to do that. It's up to you.
I can go 5 if we're
Hey,
done right after. I got 15 minutes.
you
I
got
gotta do
15
4.
minutes. Well, how
Let's
many
do 4.
questions do we each have?
We're just going
No,
to do one.
no, JJ, you get to ask the next question, and we'll go around.
We get 4
Okay, well,
minutes
if this
on.
was a lightning round, I had 2 questions and I was trying to figure out which one I was wanting to read.
Well, this will be the last question, so pick your one.
Okay. Um, open-minded and willing to do the extra thing, go to one extra meeting, stay on the phone an extra minute. Hey, wait a minute. I think that's too easy a question for you guys. So I'm going to ask this other question.
Okay.
Spiritual growth,
Yeah.
love, and compassion. This is out of our chapter. More would be revealed. Spiritual growth, page 99. Love and compassion are idle potentials until shared with a fellow addict. How do you convert these idle potentials into a real experience?
So, are you talking about love and compassion, or spiritual growth, love and compassion?
Spiritual growth, love, and compassion.
Okay. I just wasn't sure. I couldn't see how it was written. I think it's through the love of us sharing, first of all, sharing space with another addict, sharing our message with another addict, and sharing our time, like in sponsorship, that creates that spiritual growth. It's like it's like me sitting down and having a sandwich and saying, "Here, have a couple bites." I think that if we are sharing, trying, like opening our hearts to that other person's need, then I think quite often, like if I ask for guidance before a share, what comes out of me is just something that I don't even like, that it's not a premeditated thing. It's not me trying to like show off what I know about the program. It just ends up being something that that person needs, you know, and and having the compassion to meet somebody new where they're at, I think, is that it, it's part of like that whole cycle with the love and the spiritual growth. Because your spirit grows when you love more, and it's not about, like I heard that lady there, that Marianne Williamson, she said that there's a thing with relationships with people where why a lot of relationships go stagnant is because you go out all day and say whatever, say I have an argument with Andrew, so I'm not giving love to Andrew, and JJ didn't deliver my deck part on time, so now I'm mad at JJ, and there's a guy who cut me off in traffic, and then you show up home and you're expecting this person to be this source of all your love, right? And then that person just sees you as like a starving thing, like trying to take, and so it's like the only way we fill our cup is by giving out that love, right? And so the only way that we can build love and compassion and spiritual growth is by love in service. Like whether it's words, whether it's time, whether it's a hug when someone needs it, you know, and if we're just like, "Oh, I don't have time for that today, gotta go," or whatever, that person just might go home and die. Like the one thing I think is that we have one chance when someone comes to a meeting. We have one chance to save someone's life. Statistically, going to that first meeting and either embracing it or not is the one chance we have for helping someone. So we better be loving. We better show compassion. And even if they can't absorb it, we better at least show them that spiritual growth can change the experience of an addict who's suffering.
Hell yeah.
Like I don't dumb down my joy just because someone else isn't feeling it. That is like, to me, criminal act of love wrecking.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't get given love and then be like, I ain't got no love. Okay.
As they're like, this is like dripping off of you. You're like, I
Yeah.
don't know what you're talking about, man.
I ain't happy.
I'll take
Bag back up.
I'll take that question.
You got it?
I'll take it.
Okay. It is spiritual growth, love, and compassion are idle potentials until shared with a fellow addict. How do you convert these idle potentials into a real experience?
It's a crazy, crazy, beautiful question. The first thing that came to my mind is, well, they say honest sharing is the antidote to our disease thinking. What it does is it allows our hearts to connect. When we come in here and we share honestly, it allows our hearts to connect. But to answer your question, the first thing that starts all of that off is awareness for me. Having awareness about what's going on in the situation, whether it's have a newcomer or I'm sharing with the newcomer or it's me myself, whatever it is. I've got to have awareness. I got to be able to pause for that moment of honesty, that moment of clarity in between my thoughts and my actions, which I have today. JJ, I have that today. I have that moment of clarity, that that space in between my thoughts and my actions that I didn't have any before. I didn't have that before, man. I didn't have that before. That kind of brings it into like surrendering to it, right? Letting my higher power guide my reactions. Every time I surrender just a little bit more, like when things go wrong and I choose not to retaliate and things like that, like that's when it gets really powerful for me. when I can instead trust my higher power instead of acting out on what I want to do. So that's kind of how it happens in real time for me. But service came to mind when you asked that question. Like service, compassion, and motion is what that is. You know, one of the most practical ways that I can turn compassion into practice is through service. You know, being of service to somebody else. You know, service is a posture of the heart, which translates to love. You know, answering the phone when somebody's calling me. You know what I mean? Like that's all part of being of service to this fellowship and being of service to other people. And it turns out, it turns into a feeling of action, right? It reminds me like I'm not the center of the universe. You know, for me to keep going the way I'm going, I got to help other people. I got to help other people. I cannot be doing things for myself all day and think that I'm going to get the fruits of what this fellowship has to offer. It's not going to happen. You know, so if I want to continue to grow spiritually, I have got to serve. I've got to serve. What does serve stand for? Spiritually expressing real values every day. What does it also stand for? Selflessly embrace recovery, values, and empathy. Ooh, come on. Because then we change, right? It helps us change. What does change stand for, JJ? Choosing honesty allows new growth every day. You know what it also stands for is connection helps all negative growth every day. Come on, man. I know what I'm doing around here. I know it. And what is your take
Hey,
on the
could I
Bible,
pass
JJ?
you a horn to toot it? No.
JJ, what is your take on the Bible? Real quick. Do you believe in it? Do you not? Do you like, what is it, your thing?
Oh, yeah. It's a source of direction.
You know what Bible stands for? You know what Bible stands for? Basic instructions before leaving
Before
Earth.
leaving Earth, yes.
Oh, you knew that one?
That's what I thought you were asking, man. I couldn't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of go out with that and remember, grace, gratitude restores a conscious energy. Grace, gratitude restores a conscious energy. It also stands for gift received and cherished every day. Got to give it up to God, man. God, great outpouring of divinity. That's a new one you ain't heard for God. Have you? Let's go. I'm done. That's me.
Woo.
That's me.
And
Oh, mercy.
you're going to just start talking in acronyms. Like you won't even be able to speak normal sentences. Everybody will have to.
I'll be like, hello, Milan, Hello. Hi, everybody. Loving things. That'd be so funny. That's so funny.
I swear you'll get to that point soon. You're getting so rapid with it. I think so. Yeah, you will.
Is it bad though?
No,
Okay,
no.
cool. It's good.
I'm just saying.
Crazy.
I'm saying you're getting it so fast now. Like it's accelerating. Like absolutely.
He ended his SHARE.
No.
Give me something.
And I don't want to slip because that's when surrender loses its priority when I slip.
Or sobriety is losing it, but I know you don't like the sobriety. Okay, JJ, you got to answer yours.
I got to answer mine. You know, it's beautiful how the other question, you know, God knows what he's doing. Spiritual growth, love, and compassion are idle potentials until shared with a fellow addict. How do I convert these idle potentials into a real experience? I really appreciate both of your answers and that I needed to hear that question answered from you too. So that's why God helped me choose the right one. You know, being open-minded to the benefits of my spiritual growth. Like I want to continue in this growth and to understand the vastness and the power and the capacity of love. And the way to do that is to do the extra thing, you know, is to stay on the phone for an extra minute, to make a phone call that, you know, that comes to mind. And boy, you know, and I've done that here just in the last couple of weeks. There's 2 calls that come to mind that, you know, out of my day, all of a sudden I thought of somebody, called them, and the connection was powerful. There was a real need for that to happen.
Our phone call the other week for me, man. Woo.
Yeah. That's what I mean, is like this, this good
You
shit
can call me
comes.
JJ. You can call me.
No, I called him. You got to call JJ. Get it together.
What's I love you, Andrew. You, you know, um,
I love
this
you.
this extra, this extra effort. The other question, says that this effort of helping a newcomer, yeah, attending a meeting, um, going to an extra meeting, one more meeting is vital to our recovery. And vital is in the dictionary says it's essential for life if it's vital. So this, this going out of ourselves, extending ourselves, making these idle potentials a real experience, takes these actions. And I, you know, so I appreciated listening, because the compassion um, is all three of them are a work in progress. It's like, but for me to make them real is to be in sponsorship. Is to have a sponsor, to be active with my sponsor, um, and to understand compassion. That word really challenged me, um, because I feel sometimes I get in impatience, and maybe, and it's not fair, because this disease is relentless, but it's to summon the compassion, um, as someone continues to struggle. Like there's a point where my compassion is tested and my impatience takes over, and I want to shake the motherfucker and say, why can't you fucking wake up? Lay it down, fucking just please receive this,
Word
like,
up.
but that's not compassion, or is it? This is, and honestly, when I wrote that, I didn't get to, before the podcast, look the word up as to what it means, because I think it means I'm supposed to be understanding and forgiving. But is it not compassionate to sometimes shake somebody and say, wake the fuck up? Is that not compassionate? But it's only by being involved, and really being of service. That is what I have learned, and it's such a gift, so I'm really.
Compassionate feeling or showing sympathy and concern for other people is not shaking them to death. No.
Well, I was gonna say, like,
No, not
don't shake the
shaking them.
babies. Don't shake the babies.
No, not shaking them to death.
Yeah,
You know I'm
But
messing with you, JJ. I'm
I know.
messing with you a little bit.
I know.
read that again, though, because it's
Feeling or showing sympathy and concern for others,
okay. So the sympathy,
not empathy.
right? The sympathy is where I guess I run out. Then my concern is, if you don't get out of it, you're a dead person.
Yeah.
So my concern, and so what is my action then? If it's firm, if it's a boundary, if it is, hey, like, is that not compassionate? Because
I believe it's almost similar to the difference between constructive criticism and criticism. Like,
Okay.
what you're talking about is something that's life saving. Like, people break ribs giving CPR. Why the
That's
fuck wouldn't
beautiful.
you
Yeah,
do
I like
that to
that.
save
Yeah.
someone's life?
Yeah.
I really got a split to get to open up for this meeting, but I
Yeah.
love you guys.
Love you more, man. Love you more.
And
Milan, thank you.
and JJ, and maybe, like, what about coming back in 2 weeks? Andrew, JJ, 2 weeks, boys.
Oh, I'm always here.
Okay, I know, but I'm just
I
saying,
don't.
I love you guys.
I love
Yep.
you guys.
The steps, spiritual tools, empowering progress. Remember that. Let's go.
Tune in next episode for more recovery
guys,
fun.
man. Love you
Bye
guys.
bye,
Love you, JJ.
everybody. I love you. Please help us help others. If you like what you've seen here today, please subscribe and share this podcast and help us get to 100 followers. We're looking for interaction with our audience. So please email recoveryfreedomrising@gmail.com or contact Milan South Okanagan Starcic on Facebook with questions, topic suggestions, or just comments. We'd love to hear from you.